monkey mamas. Say hi, chubby chubby. These are chubby babies.
What's up guys, and welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be telling you guys my birth story because so many of you guys commented on my labor and delivery vlog saying that I made it look easy, and that is not like the impression that I wanted to like put on that video, because it was, I mean, like, it was fast, it was quick, it was easier than Ariana's birth, but it's still like, birth is not an easy thing to go through. So I basically just want to tell you guys more about what happened, because we didn't film a lot of what happened because we didn't have the camera with us. Like, there's a lot of info that was not put into that video. We have baby Camila, little monkey. Getting so chunky, guys. Can't wait to do her 1 month update and tell you guys how she's been doing for the past month. I'm going to feed her while I start this story time. So I just took out my phone because this helps me keep track of like the timing and everything, because I was messaging my mom during this time. If you guys don't know, we live in Quebec City, and my mom and like my family is from Ontario, so that's about like a 9-hour drive away. So she wasn't able to be there, so I was messaging her like the process and everything. So basically it starts off on September 2nd around 8 o'clock, and my mom, like, she was always messaging me during this time. She was like, you know, how is it now, the contractions? Are they still 15 minutes apart, or did they stop? And I was like, we went for a 20-minute walk. They went from 15 minutes down to 8 minutes, then 7 minutes and 5 minutes. Then they went back to 15 minutes. So they were very inconsistent, and they weren't very super strong at that point. So I didn't think anything of it. However, I called her that day, and we did think that September 2nd was going to be the day. And if it wasn't like at nighttime that she was coming, then that she was going to be here on September 3rd. Just because of all the contractions I was getting. When I started to go up and down the stairs that night, I just kept going up and down the stairs for about 30 minutes, I believe, and then after that I went to bed. Around 11 p.m. September 2nd, my contractions were getting longer, so they weren't like 45 seconds, they were a minute and 40 seconds. My mom's like, oh shit, here we go, it's gonna be a long ass night, which it was. And then I was like, oh my god, they hurt. Almost couldn't talk with the last one, but they're still 15 minutes apart. I'm using an exercise ball while the contractions to help. So basically I was in bed. I would get up, I would feel contraction coming, get up, get on the exercise ball, start bouncing, and then get back in bed because I still had another 15 minutes until the next contraction. And then I was like, okay, mom, I'm gonna try and sleep. And she was like, okay, take a warm bath, but if you go in the bath, you won't know if your water breaks. And then she was like, okay, sleep. So then I slept. I was calling her at this point. So around 12:50-ish in the morning, close to 1 o'clock in the morning, my contractions were getting intense. If you guys were watching the birth vlog, like, I wasn't able to film every second of it because they were hurting so much. Alex was still up, he was playing Xbox, so I was like telling him like, okay, like, they're hurting. And then he started drawing me a bath, and then for some weird reason my contractions started coming literally like, I would get a contraction for a minute and 40 seconds, it would stop for like a minute or two, and then it would come back again. And I was like, okay, like, this is not normal. I don't remember that the contractions are supposed to be this close apart. So I was like, okay, let's go to the hospital. Like, at that point I was almost on the ground. We get to the hospital, I'm dying, the lady's trying to take our information and like get us set up, and then the nurse, she goes to examine me to see how far I'm dilated. Y'all don't know how pissed off I was when she said that I was 1.5 centimeters dilated with all those contractions. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this without getting the epidural, because these contractions hurt so much, and I've only dilated half a centimeter. So that was really crappy. And then she was like, okay, I feel comfortable sending you home at the moment, and you could come back when your contractions are more consistent, or you could stay here. We give you 2 hours max and then see if you have progressed during that time. And I was like, okay, I'm not going home. I don't want to go home just in case. You never know what happens. So I said, okay, we'll stay the 2 hours, and we walked around the hospital for 2 hours. Didn't stop walking because, you know, I wanted to keep the contractions going, get something started, and luckily that did something. So at 3 in the morning they checked me again, and at that point I was 3 centimeters dilated. So in 2 hours I jumped up basically 2 centimeters. The contractions were hurting even more than they did, and I do have to say that I was in back labor, and with Ariana it was stomach labor. So back labor hurts like a friggin', okay, it hurts really friggin' bad. Like, it hurts so much more than just having stomach labor, and I wish that I didn't have back labor because I was so close to giving birth without the epidural, and I feel like I could have done it if it wasn't in my back. Like, my back was hurting so much. Every time I got a contraction, Alex had to massage my back, and like instantly, like I would get a contraction, I'd be like, Alex, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, and he would come and he would push on my back, and like even that barely helped. And then she was like, okay, at this point, because in 2 hours I moved up 2 centimeters, she's like, I feel like if you go into the bath, so like they have like this big whirlpool bath with hot water and like jets, that she feels like I would progress enough to be moved into a room. So they take you into a room around 4 or 5 centimeters. So I was like, okay, we'll do that then. And she sends me to like go sit for a bit because it takes a couple minutes, like 5 minutes for the water to come up and for them to set up the bath and everything. So me and Alex, we go into like the hallway where the elevators are. We're sitting down. I'm getting contractions, and like during this whole time, every time I would get a contraction, I was telling Alex, okay, like every time I get a contraction, I'm scared that I'm gonna pass out because it hurts so much. Like I literally felt like I would pass out or that I would vomit. And I ended up puking while we were waiting for the bath. I got a really bad contraction, and like I couldn't handle it. I was getting dizzy, and then I just ended up puking everything I ate out for dinner on September 2nd. And I feel like that was like one of the bad parts because it was like embarrassing. Alex had to rush to go get a nurse saying that I was puking. It was embarrassing, but it was also hurting a lot. Like I hate puking, and I never puke like at all. So when I puked, and I just kept puking and puking, like it was such a huge pile. Sorry if this is like disgusting, but it was such a huge pile of puke. Like I puked, and I puked. I think I puked like 4 or 5 times, and it got in my hair a little bit too, which was pretty gross. And then the nurse came and she gave me a puking bag, and then a couple minutes after, the bath was ready. So we went into the bath area, which was actually pretty cool. I did not have that with Ariana, so I was pretty stoked to be going in the bath since I love being in hot water, and I thought it would help. And we were in the bath for 2 hours, so until about 5:30. I don't even know how I got through 2 hours in the bath. Like I feel like all of this went by so fast for me because it only felt like I was in there for like an hour or something. But the bath water did help, but like during that time the pain progresses because you're being dilated more. And at that point, while I was progressing in the bath, that is when I started screaming. So I never thought I would be a screamer, but I was a screamer at that point. So every time I would get a contraction, my stomach would get super hard, and then my back would start hurting so much. And like instead of being sat up like in the bath, I would like go and like almost like drown myself in the water and start like screaming and like moaning and asking Alex to help me. And poor Alex, like he didn't know what to do. He got traumatized like by that part. hearing me scream and not being able to do anything about it. Good job. Besides, like, the only thing that he was able to do during that whole time is rub my leg and tell me that it's okay, I could do it. And like, I could tell in his face the whole time that he looked scared and like very paranoid. Like, that like scarred him, I feel. And like, even after I gave birth, he was like I feel bad that you had to like go through that, and like, I don't know if I want you to go through that again, kind of thing. Obviously I would go through it again to get a little munchkin like this one. And then at some point I just couldn't handle it anymore. Like, they were getting closer together. Alex was using my contraction tracker app on my iPhone, and they were 3 minutes apart at that point. I like yelled at him and told him to get a nurse and that I want to be checked to see how far I'm dilated, because at that point I thought that I was really like close to like 7 centimeters, 8 centimeters dilated of how bad the contractions were. And he went to go get a nurse. The nurse literally took half an hour to come, and I had him keep going back and forth telling him to tell the nurse to come, because I don't want a baby to come out of me like right this second while I'm in the bath. Although I kind of actually did, because I also kind of secretly wanted like to have a water birth, but that didn't happen. So then the nurse finally comes and she tells me to get out of the bath, that they're gonna bring me into the room to check to see how far I'm dilated. And at that point I couldn't even get up out of the bath, guys. Like, she was telling me, okay, come, take it slowly, get out. And I had another contraction, so I laid back down in the bath. And then I had to get up, and like, as I was getting up, like, it was hurting. I could barely walk to the room, and then I got onto the table, and at this point I'm screaming and I'm very squirmy. So when you're giving birth and when you're having contractions, to be able to go through a natural birth, you need to be able to breathe through it and like relax. But I was not able to do that. I was squirming all over the place, and she was telling me, relax, you need to breathe, you can do it. And I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And then she was telling me to breathe, and I was trying to breathe, but it wasn't working, and I was just like all over the place, and I was like tightening my body every time I would get a contraction. And I was just like scared, like, because you have this delay, right? Like, you get a contraction for a minute and whatever seconds, and then you have a delay of 3 minutes before your next one comes. So I was just scared every time my contraction would stop to get the next one. Like, I knew another one was coming, and it was like my biggest fear during that time of waiting for the other one to come. The nurse checks me, and at that point I'm 5.5 centimeters dilated, and I was like, get me the epidural now. And she's like, okay, let me go tell the nurse that you want the epidural. I don't think it should take too long. And then she went, and she was like, okay, yeah, the lady's coming for the epidural. And I was like, okay, when is she coming? I need it now. Like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. I can't do this. And they're like, okay, well, I'm gonna get you into your room. So she brought me into the room, and I think I had to wait about 20 minutes for the epidural nurse to come in. And that was scary for me too, because at that point I was like, do I really want to get the epidural? Like, while she was there and while she was setting up the thing, like, I was almost thinking of saying, no, I don't want it. But then a contraction would come and I would just cave in. So I got the epidural. The epidural didn't hurt. It doesn't hurt like when they put the needle or anything. It only hurts when they start injecting the medicine into your back. I don't know why, but it just hurts so much. And then as soon as she did that, my next contraction that I received after that was slightly worse. I mean, it was slightly better, like right after she injected it. So that was great. And then everything after that was fine and dandy. So as you recall, I was about 5.5 centimeters dilated. So come around 7:30, 8 o'clock, the nurse that was there for the delivery, she kept checking me, and like, they take like an ice pack to see if you're still like frozen, so that you can't feel anything. And they like ask you, okay, can you feel the coldness of the ice pack? And I was like, no, no, no. And then she went on to my right side, and she was like, can you feel it? And I was like, a little bit. And she was like, okay, well, we'll up, like, you know, the dosage or whatever. And she like tilted me sides, so because I was tilted on this side, so she tilted my body on this side so that the medicine would like flow onto this side, because I was feeling a little bit of the coldness. And then a bunch of doctors come in. Doctor, he comes in and he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna check you to see how far you're dilated. And this is around 8:40-ish now. And he comes, he checks me, and within a minute he's like, you're ready, it's time. And then I just started bawling my eyes out, and Alex was there. He didn't even register what the guy just said. And he was like, what? And I'm like, it's time, babe, like she's coming. I'm fully dilated. And then he like starts freaking out. And yeah, I start crying because I was just so excited to meet this little munchkin. So excited. Yeah. There's like 6 nurses in the room, and they're getting me set up, putting my legs up and whatever, explaining to me how I need to push and how I need to breathe. And then they tell me to give my first push. When they tell me to give my first push, I feel something on my right side. Like I could feel the baby on my right side. And I was telling them, like, I'm almost sure that I could feel something, but nobody answers me. So I was like, okay, like whatever, didn't think anything of it. And basically what they wanted me to do is, sorry for her breathing is kind of loud, push on my contractions. So I had to wait to get a contraction, and there was like a period where we had to wait like 3 minutes for another contraction to come. And then I pushed again, and I felt something again. Didn't say anything at this point. And then when they tell me that they see like her hair, that she has like a full head of hair, and I knew that she was right there. And then I just started pushing. Like I pushed, I barely took a breath, and I just pushed again, and I could feel her coming out. Like I could feel the pressure, and I could feel her head, her shoulders, her arms coming out, but only from my right side. And honestly, that was such an awesome experience. Like even though it did slightly hurt on the right side, like I'm happy that I was able to feel something rather than nothing at all during that time, just because I did want a natural birth. I feel like this kind of gave me a half experience with epidural, to where the point where I can't feel my contractions and that my contractions don't hurt, but I was able to feel her come out partially from one side of my body. So I really enjoyed that, and I'm really thankful that that happened. And I'm also very thankful that she came out healthy and adorable, and I didn't tear giving birth to her. I was healthy afterwards. I was able to get up. Normally, you know, afterwards when the epidural's gone, when you go pee, it's supposed to burn. Nothing burned. My bleeding wasn't bad. Everything just went so well after that, and I'm so thankful for that. My healing process was great, and my back doesn't even hurt that much. When I had Ariana with the epidural, which is why I did not want the epidural this time around, my back hurt so much for a long time, like 2 years, and this time it doesn't hurt whatsoever. So I'm just so happy about that. Mama. That is basically what I wanted to tell you guys. The whole, how I was progressing, how we did go into a bath, how I did puke, and how the contractions are not easy. The contractions are friggin' hard. I mean, everyone takes pain differently, and I thought I had a decent pain tolerance, but not for birth. So I also need to make this video for myself to look back onto when I'm ready to have my next child, and just remind myself that the contractions are bad, and that I need to make a clear decision on what I want to do with my next one. Because with her, I was actually supposed to go into a birthing home where they don't have epidural, where they don't have medicine or anything like that. So if I did that, I would have been screwed. So I'm glad that everything worked out the way that it did, and that I need to take my next decision for my next child like properly and really think it through and really remember what the pain feels like. But in all honesty, anything is worth it for a little munchkin like this little one. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys on her 1 month update. We're October 2nd today, and she turns 1 month tomorrow on October 3rd. Can't believe she has been here for a month. I feel like I just gave birth yesterday. With that being said, guys, we will see you guys on the next video. And don't worry guys, I do have a morning routine and a night routine coming. I have my morning routine sit down and my night routine is coming along, so that will be uploaded soon as well. Alright, this one's getting fussy, so we'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to thumbs up this video, give it a big like, and subscribe if you're new to our channel. We'll see you guys on our next video.